Hello and welcome back. It is now August 18th and it is a beautiful, although a little bit cool morning out here as we're getting into the latter half of August. Some of the nights are starting to get a little cooler here, but we do have some forecasted pretty high temperatures for this week, which is great. It'll really help drive maturity and dry down in a lot of crops like this barley behind me. So let's take a look and see what we're seeing this week. This field of dryland barley is like many in the area. There is some greens mixed in. There is a few green tillers still here and there, although this field is certainly not the worst. The headlands were worse than the majority of the field, so they have been swathed, and what is left in the field should be able to be run through combine without any great difficulty, but we will see later this week after it's had a little more chance to dry down. Well, my dryland wheat plots are looking really good this week. Things are starting to mature in here pretty well. A lot of the green has disappeared in this field since last week as we are really moving into that ripening stage. I almost thought we had a little bit of an ergot problem when I first walked up to these plots today. It looked like there was ergot on some of these heads, but what it actually is ladybug larvae all stuck to the heads in here. So that's basically great because they have now cleaned up all of the aphids and stuff in the field, but there's a surprising amount of them in here all stuck on these heads. Irrigated oats are starting to ripen. It's not super consistent yet. Some of these are really starting to toughen up and dry down and mature, but there's still quite a few greens in here, but they are getting more and more solid. We're getting pretty close to swath timing in fields like this now, but you can still see we are quite green in the under canopy at the moment here, but things should come along quickly this week with the weather. Well, lots of fields like this one out there, wherever we had early poor dryland barley where we ended up with, aborted tillers just because of drought situation earlier in the year. Now we got all this green growth, and a lot of this isn't even milk stage yet. Some hasn't flowered, some is just starting to emerge, some is in early dough. But really there's only two ways to take care of it. Run through it with the swather if we have a good stretch of hot weather like is forecasted for the next week or so. Swathing is probably going to be the quickest way to get those greens cured out, shrunk down, and into the bin. If not, you're pretty much stuck with spraying glyphosate and heat. Heat is going to be the weed control that is going to control things like kochia, stuff like that. And the glyphosate itself is what is going to act on the barley. So it is still going to take some time. Glyphosate does work a little slower, but really it's about the only thing we can do without, fighting with residue limits with products like Regulon Ion. So I would suggest going about that if swathing does not work for you. Back to that field where we had the barley silaged off a few weeks ago that was so full of quack grass. This is the patch of quack grass. You can still see all of the old stems here. So we did give it a little bit of a chance to regrow about 5 to 6 days after harvest to regrow before hitting it with a pretty heavy rate of glyphosate to try to get some of that quack grass under control. And we actually did a fairly good job of doing so, but it is now starting to come back up from the roots again. So oats have been reseeded in here. We got a pretty good stand of oats, 3-leaf stage, but you can see we got a bunch of quack grass now coming up between the rows, coming up from all those underground rhizomes. So I think we definitely did thin it out a bit, but it is going to come back regardless. You can see some of these patches here were really, really thick with it, and it is going to be coming back. But we are going to be spraying it again later this fall, try to take it down another peg, and then probably again in the spring as well to try to get these patches under control. Well, now that my wheat plots are somewhere around 7 to 10 days away from harvest, I've come in and I have flagged them off, put some high visibility tape along the flags anyways here, just so it's a little bit more obvious. Farming Smarter is going to come in with their plot combine to help me take these off, so I don't have to do them the old-fashioned way with the scythe and the little bushel plus mini combine. So that will save me many, many, many days and evenings of running those through that little battery-powered machine. And hopefully we'll end up with actually some better results out of it as well. As a consequence, we're going to allow the cooperator to take the crop off around the plots before we come in with the mini combine and tramp everything down. So in order to avoid, hopefully, any half-asleep combine operator from running through my plots, I decided to make them as visible as possible, and hopefully nothing bad will happen. Well, my giant sunflowers at this pivot point are looking pretty good. You can see on the ground here there is a couple, so we've lost a few. There's no real windbreak for them here, so I'm actually surprised any of them are still standing at all. But it looks like they are just starting to flower here, so should see full bloom next week. This field of lentils is right at the perfect timing for desiccation, so we got west wind out here today doing a great job flying it on. Everything here looking good. We'll probably be taking this field off next week. Well, with the heat this week, canola fields like this one are turning really fast. So this field is looking very good. It's come along probably about 30% color change this week and is rapidly approaching swath timing, pretty much at swath timing now. So when we take a look at these plants, we want to find and isolate that main stem, start taking a look at some of these pods here. Now, here I got this one kind of open. It's hard to do this with one hand. You can see we got really good color change in there, but these bottom pods are not yet brittle. They are still pretty tough and leathery. Going right up to the top, we do have color change up here as well, but not nearly as much. So we want to take a look at those side branches. Want to make sure that we don't have any green glassy seeds in any of them, which we don't. These ones are coming along really well. Any green glassy seeds are going to basically shrivel up and turn into pepper. We don't want that. So once we have good color change, it's time to swath. We don't want to wait long enough that it becomes brittle. We just want to be at about this point. And so this field is going to have, you know, a couple days probably up through the weekend in order to get it swathed in a good time without having to worry about anything shattering. Cornfields are looking great this week. This field is Pioneer Hybrid and it's pretty damn tall. It's about, I'd say 12-ish feet tall, so almost 2 liles tall now, and looking really good. Most of the ears are now in this stage, so we are in the blister stage as these are just starting to fill out here. You can see we've got pretty good pollination. It looks like we pollinated pretty much right to the tip, so things are looking pretty good as far as that goes. Water usage still pretty high in a crop like this right now, especially in weather like this where it's actively growing. We're probably using 6 to 7 millimeters of water every day. Once we are into or out of milk stage and those kernels are filled, then that water usage will start to drop off pretty rapidly. But for now, it remains pretty high. This field of canola has a really high infection rate of Sclerotinia, which is affecting the maturity, making it look a little farther along than it is. But really, it is pretty far along anyways. This field is just outside of swath timing. There's a few too many delicate, crispy pods for my liking as far as swath timing goes. But really, we're only probably 4 or 5 days away from prime desiccation time. And you can still see we do have some strips of green out here in some of those low spots, but those will come along quickly in this weather. Well, this field of yellow peas is coming off and is looking really good. Average is going to be, yeah, it's hard to say what the average is going to be, but the better areas of the field coming off at up to 120 bushels. Some of the wild oat patches where our Authority Supreme and multiple applications of clethodim didn't work. Some of those areas down into the 80s. But right now, everything looking pretty good. Combines away working in here, and over down here in the low area, we have a grain bag getting filled up. It's a good situation where we're already running out of bin space and all we've done here is peas so far. Looks like fire season may have started. Looks like pretty good sized fire over there. Looks like a direction of Sterling approximately. This piece of land has just been hit with a deep ripper. This piece of land here had some pretty extensive construction traffic on it last year, and we had some pretty severe compaction that did show up in the crop last year and this year as well, causing some pretty severe stunting in areas. So we made the decision to silage off the wheat that was in here, and we've now come in with a deep ripper, so it has kind of made it a little uneven and hilly. Before we do any winter cereal seeding or anything like that in here, we will have to probably run through with something like a heavy harrow, kind of try to smooth things out. Otherwise we're going to end up with some seed on the surface and some 4 inches deep, but yeah, we will see how that works out. Well, here we've got some swathed barley on a headland that had a whole bunch of greens in it, and you can still kind of see them. They are in there, but they are drying down pretty well. This has only been swathed for a couple days here. You can see these guys drying down real nicely. These will be able to run through a combine and not be a problem for moisture level or anything in just a matter of days. Well, that'll be it for this week. Looks like weekend weather into next week is going to continue to be more of the same. It'll be warm and clear and sunny, and things should be coming along pretty quick. We're now pretty much in the full swing of harvest with cereals and lots of barley starting to come off. So I think we'll be seeing more of that next week. So we'll see you then.